Hola! It is Metal Hot once again. It's a new year, happy 2026. This is a video that I wanted to make at least 12 years ago. Over the years, I'm like, yeah. Time gives you a better perspective. And so this is about my generation, Generation X. I grew up in the 70s and 80s. And I would, this is just me, I would say it was the second best generation. The first would be my dad's generation. My dad grew up during the Great Depression. They knew how to survive. They were tough. They had to be. Our generation was also tough. And I'll tell you why. We were the latchkey kids. Okay, we grew up watching naughty cartoons, considered now, sugar-loaded cereals, and it's like this new generation. They want to get rid of all the fun stuff. Okay, I remember the first games we played in the basement. There was a big box TV set up in the basement. Pong and Pac-Man, Dig Dug, Hubert, Frogger, all that. And later on, it was, Burger Time and all that. And people say, well, that was simple entertainment. Yes, it was. We had fun. I saw kids playing outside. You don't see that anymore. And so it was, the 80s were such a fun decade. And so I would say we grew up, we wanted fun, but I don't know what it is. We also knew the seriousness of what was going on in the world. Adults didn't need to tell us. We knew. We picked up on the ideas. We didn't have, some of us didn't have adults telling us what was going on. We saw, okay, most of us had a TV. We saw what was going on. And my decade was like, hey, okay. Everyone needed a distraction. And, it's like the 80s had its fair share of problems. That's why there were so many distractions, okay? We had MTV, and I loved, everyone loved MTV. And like, we have this, we knew about Chernobyl. That was the big threat. That, and what was Reagan gonna do? Start nuclear war? Well, I mean, that was a real threat. I'm not gonna say it wasn't. We had real threats, and we had entertainment to distract us. And because of that, the whole mix, I think that's what made Gen X one of the strongest generations ever. We tuned into the threats. And it's like we mentally prepared for it. But at the same time, we're like, okay, we're not going to let that destroy society. We have to move on. So it's like being prepared but not letting that destroy the fun. We had fun. I mean, shit, look at the movie. The 80s had the best movies and music. Even it was cheesy one-hit wonder bands. It was it was original. And so I think the best way to describe Gen X is, mostly the 80s, early 90s. We loved music and movies. There was an appreciation for life. We knew that things could be ended by some asshole pushing his button and launching nuclear weapons. We knew that. We were hoping that didn't happen. So it's like, putting politics aside, well, for now, it's like, yeah, we knew that things could get really, really bad. It could turn into a shit show. But we had all this entertainment. I guess you could say it was a distraction. And yeah, it was. We knew it was there, but it was like, let's not talk about that. Like your neighbor who set fire to his house. Well, never mind. That's never mind. It was a chaotic decade. There was good and bad, like every decade. We had AIDS, crack, homelessness. Many people didn't like Reagan. Many people did. And I think that was the beginning of, not the beginning of the divide of America. You could say the divide started to happen in the 60s, and then the 70s, it's like, whatever. 70s, horrible. Let's forget about that. But it's like there was tension, but there was also that promise that, hey, that glimmer of hope in everyone's eyes that things could get better. And so most of it was a distraction. I think most people would agree with that. Like, we have AIDS, crack, and all that. And we had so many icons in that generation. They served as a distraction. Hulk Hogan, Michael Jackson, Madonna. Oh my God, what the hell happened? Anyway, too much, plastic surgery, whatever. So it was. It's a decade that people will study for a long time. It was complicated, and yet life was so much simpler back then. I want to say we knew what to expect. Politics aside, it's like, whatever. We knew what was in charge. Like when you're a kid, you don't think about politics. You want to watch Saturday morning cartoons. You want to eat sugar-loaded cereal. That my favorite was honeycombs and Lucky Charms and all that. And your parents are there to protect you, pay the bills and all that. And sometimes they weren't there. The latchkey kids. We knew how to take care of ourselves. You got a key? Open up. Go inside the house. Make yourself a meal. Mom and Dad will be back around 5 or 6. We weren't helpless. We weren't. Most of us. I was like, we had, toys to play with, friends to hang out with. Hey, hey, John, your, your, your friend John or Bob, whatever. I found some adult magazines in the woods. It's always in the. It was always in the woods. I don't understand that. Hey, come on over. I gotta show you the new Playboy or Penthouse or whatever. But we didn't rely on technology. We didn't really rely that much on adults. We knew they were there, but they were like kind of the outsiders, the kids. We knew how to survive. We relied on each other. Back in the days of landlines, before social media, and I'm like, I really miss those days. I really do. Kids would be playing outside, and adults being as they are. You got to be in before the lights go on. You got to be in at like 8 or 9. You got to go to bed at 9. School day tomorrow. I'm like, yeah, whatever. And I would be up looking at, well, whatever. You don't need to know. And so it was a simpler time. I'm like, damn. And I feel sorry for kids these days because I can only imagine how they are being raised. I'm like, I can't imagine them having fun. It's like, what, you can't hang out with friends without supervision? Boring. Kids should be allowed to get into trouble. It's part of growing up. Curiosity is part of being human. And so, I would say to all the people in my group, Gen X, man, we had it great. We really did. And there's no other era that can compare except the 50s, maybe.